Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I have a very exciting guest to tell everybody about, Josh Davies. He is with the Center for Work Ethic Development. And Josh and I have had several years of experience about knowing about each other's programs and really have found it interesting over the few years the way in which our strategies overlap. So we wanted to bring Josh on today to have a conversation about how he sees things coinciding between Drug-Free Clubs of America, his programs at the Center for Work Ethic Development, and how next steps can happen with both of our programs together. My name is Angie Ferguson, and I'm the Executive Director at Drug-Free Clubs of America. And I want to say a big welcome to Josh.
Thank you very much, Angie. It is a pleasure to be with you here today.
All right. We had a little bit of fun before we started recording, just catching up. So it's really great to see you again.
Absolutely, absolutely. And look, if you can't have fun with the people you work with, really, what is the point of work? You've got to be able to enjoy what you do and the people you do it with. And I think that's an important mantra for life.
Yeah. Well, and so that's a good lead into the first thing really I wanted to cover is what is the point of work? So with your work, I know that you guys really approach things from, although we both offer a way to affect the workforce, you take it on a whole nother level. So can you talk a little bit about what it is that you do at the Center for Work Ethic Development? Tell us about your A-Game program, the curriculum, stuff like that. Just give us an overview.
Yeah. Well, let me take back even before then. I got my professional start doing corporate training and development and HR stuff for hotel and restaurant companies across the country. And I love that industry. I love that business because at its core, it's about people, right? It's about the service that you bring. It's about your attitude. And you don't need to have some sort of fancy degree or big, education or credentials. It's about what you bring to it. And I loved that aspect of it. And after doing that for quite a while, I decided I wanted to do a little bit more. I wanted to give back a little bit and find a way to, have a more service-oriented life. And I happened to connect with a gentleman who lives here in Colorado with me, and we've interacted and worked before. His name is Eric Chester, and he had done some research and written a book called Bring Your A-Game to Work. And what it was, in essence, was a look at what it was that employers were looking for more than anything else when it came to employees, just kind of the basics. We get so obsessed sometimes with making sure we have the right technical skills, or, making sure they can do all these different computer things. And a lot of employers are saying, we just need something more basic than that. And what his research found was that there were really 7 core skills that employers were looking for no matter what job you were going into. Right? Regardless of whether or not you were going to be a cosmetologist, an astrophysicist, working on auto body, right? What was it that everybody was looking for? And it really, again, boiled down to 7 things. It was having a positive attitude every single day, right? Because we all know bad things are going to happen. How do you react to that? It was about having good attendance, making sure you're there on time, every time, and that reliability. It was about having good appearance, not just in, wearing the uniform or whatever else you needed to wear, but how you communicated, how you held yourself. It was about having ambition to do more than just the minimum each day, add just a little bit of extra value. It was about having appreciation for the people that you work with and that you work for. It was about being accepting of different people, of your boss, of the rules. And then at the heart of everything, it was being accountable to make sure you were going to do what you said you were going to do every single day. As you may guess, they all started with the letter A, which is why he called his book Bring Your A-Game.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, clever. And so he talked with me, and he wanted his book to be more than just a book. He wanted to be something that people could use and implement. And so we took his content and we created a whole curriculum around developing these foundational workplace skills. The curriculum was designed to be instructor-led, using small groups, whether or not that was in a classroom or in a separate workshop environment. We created different versions for kids in school, but also for adults, because honestly, these are skills that people need no matter what age you are. And we used a train the trainer approach to help get instructors to be able to understand how to teach this and how to deliver results. Because really, at the end of the day, if you can have students delivering these basic skills, it's going to make them successful in every aspect of their life. And that's why we created Bring Your A Game. And that's why, frankly, we've had such great success around the country getting people to accept, honor, and to love these same basic skills.
Well, and you said a couple things that struck me there. One was you said around the country. And am I correct that you are not just in the United States, that you have expanded out? Is that right? Do I remember that?
That is correct. While we do have 750 different organizations using our curriculum in all 50 states, we also have folks in 7 foreign countries. You know, some of them are, like Canada, right across the street, the Bermuda, but we also have folks using the program in Taiwan, in Iraq, in Bahrain, right? In countries all over the world. Right. Because what we found is that these 7 skills are really universal. They're what make you successful in every aspect of your life. And interestingly enough, culturally, they apply as well. People realize the value of these same 7 skills pretty much everywhere around the globe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can see how that would be an overlap even with personal skills and in your personal life. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. And when you are a part of a team, you contribute to the team and you have a positive attitude when things like COVID come up.
Right,
and,
exactly.
Being able to adjust. Those are things that will serve you in every aspect of your life, not just when you're going out and applying for a job or getting a job.
Yeah. And academically, right? If you're doing this in schools, you find if you apply those same school skills in your classroom work, in your academic work, you're going to be more successful as well. It's really, it's a win-win-win all the way around.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've known about Drug-Free Clubs of America for a few years now. And another thing that you mentioned was the added value, bringing added value to your workplace, to your team, whatever it is. And that's when you said that, it made me think about that's really what Drug-Free Clubs is for employers as well, is when the students come to them and that employer who's trying to figure out, what is this person like? Am I going to be able to rely on them? Are they going to show up? Are they going to pass my drug screen? So can you talk a little bit about how you see the overlap between the way that you prepare students for the workplace and the efforts that we go through to protect students from ever facing a future where drugs are a part of their lives?
Yeah. Well, when we talk to employers, they say all the time, right? Again, send me somebody who has the basic skills to do the job, but is going to, show up on time every day. Will put their phone down. Will listen to instruction, right? All those things. And they usually finish it off with, and pass a clean drug test, right? That is such a critical piece for so many organizations. And, for years, the approach has always been, just say no, and all these penalties for not going along. What I love about the approach of Drug-Free Clubs of America is that it's a more positive. And that's what our whole curriculum is based on. It's not about punishment. It's about reward, right? What is it that matters to me? Why should I care? And when you start to get people to internalize why it matters to them, why it's valuable to them, that's when their real behavior becomes a lasting change, not just some little temporary blip, right? When people own it, that's when things change. And what Drug-Free Clubs of America does, it helps people own things, not because they're going to get penalized, but because they see the value in following through on their commitment to be drug-free. And I think that sends massive signals to employers, right? I think it says everything you need to know if you're going to have these workplace skills and the commitment to be drug-free as well.
Yeah, that was beautifully put. I'm going to watch this back again and write down those words that you used.
Hey, every now and then you get lucky, Angie, right? You just keep talking and awesome things come out of your mouth.
Yeah, that was really well put. And I think that for an employer, like I used to, before I started working for Drug-Free Clubs, I used to work in the restaurant business. I was a real estate agent. I did all kinds of other things. But I remember when I was doing hiring for our restaurant, looking at this paper application and trying to figure out, okay, what does this really tell me about this person? You sit down, you interview them for a few minutes, and you got to try to figure out, okay, can I bring this person into my workplace, affect my team's mojo, all of that based on what I know from this interview. Yeah. So for a student to come in and to be able to say they're in drug-free clubs. So being drug-free is an important thing to them, and they're getting ongoing awareness and tools for staying that way.
Yep.
But then also, when somebody goes through your program, through A Game, do they get some kind of like in our club, we give them an ID card. Do they get some kind of a certificate or credentialing? How do employers know they went through your program?
So, you could say you went through the program. That's great. But what we wanted to see if there was an extra level that people could do. So we have a certification program that's kind of a capstone, if you will, at the end. Now, not everyone does it. And it's difficult. It's a mastery exam to see how people can apply the 7 skills. And I say it's not easy because like most exams, you need to get like a 70%, right? You can get a C and still pass.
Yes.
The reality is in the workplace, employers aren't looking for C employees.
That's
right?
true.
They're looking for A employees. And so you need to get a 90% or higher on this mastery exam in order to earn that. And if you do, you earn your certificate of work ethic proficiency, which truly proves that you have mastery in these skills. It's not simply a certificate of participation that you went through and that you have awareness. That's great and that's good. But this certificate proves that you indeed have mastery over those skills and that you're able to apply them in different situations. And that, for us, is kind of our gold standard. And it's not something that you easily get, and it's not something that we give to everybody. But it's one of those things that in combination with like your ID card can really help paint a better picture for our employers, because regardless of what industry you're in, your frontline is the face of your brand, right? Your restaurant is not determined by the signage outside. It's determined by the experience that people have when they come inside, whether or not that's the host or hostess, the servers, the cooks in the back of the house trying to make the best possible meal possible, right? It's those kinds of things. And that's what the brand is all about, regardless of your flashy logo or your amazing ads. It's people's real experience. And when you have these kinds of certifications, it helps give employers more confidence that you have those skills and can deliver on that brand promise.
Right, right. So can you tell me about how is your program implemented? I know that you have a train the trainer type model. So you would teach, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would teach somebody at a school how to implement this at their school. And then what do they do from there? Is it something that is within the course curriculum? Is it extracurricular time? What does it look like when it's actually living and breathing in a school?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I realized very quickly when I got to be a part of this organization is that while the skills are universal, the way that people teach is very unique. Every organization, every school has different ways of doing things. And so what we wanted to do was create a curriculum and a delivery method that allows people to really embrace that uniqueness. So for us, we use a train the trainer approach, and it's not just in schools. Now, we do have a lot of partners in secondary education, also post-secondary, whether or not that's technical colleges, community colleges, 4-year. We also work with government workforce centers, getting people off of government assistance, nonprofit groups, community-based organizations, helping people oftentimes with barriers to employment, like homeless teens, or folks who are trying to get off of other social safety net programs. We work with correctional facilities, and every one of them is different. So what we did is we used a train the trainer approach to equip trainers with the skills they need. And then our curriculum is all modular. So there's 65 different training exercises.
Wow.
And what you do is you pick and choose which ones you want to use and how you want to use them. Some organizations will use all 65.
That's intense.
It takes a lot of time. That's a commitment. But you'll find in our correctional environment, they have nothing but time. So it works out really well for them, right? For other organizations, they take different approaches. Some schools will integrate it into their classrooms by doing once a week, they'll do one lesson. Like a very popular approach is Work Ethic Wednesdays, where in class they will spend half a class period or a whole class period around one particular exercise. Other times they'll do it as a seminar, maybe where it's a half day or somewhere like that. Some of our nonprofit groups will do it over a week, where they'll do a half day for 4 days in a row. And on the 5th day, do the certification exam, in addition to some other things that they do. Right? We did realize that the solution needs to not be one size fits all, but one size fits one. And so that's the approach that we use in terms of our curriculum and how it gets implemented, because every situation is different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really great that it's able to be customized. We found a very similar thing with drug-free clubs.
Yeah.
When we first started scaling our model back in 2010, we had to figure out how is it that we can make this program work when it's not in our backyard and we don't know that community? So we don't necessarily know what's going to work or what won't work. And that's when we realize the power of engaging local players to that area and showing them what to do and how to do it and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I hear you 100%, because what works in Cincinnati is not going to be what works in Colorado. It's not going to be what works in Miami, Florida, So,
Yep.
so it's certainly not going to be what works in, Iran or whatever it was you said.
Well, and even honestly, within a school or organization, they may have different programs in different places where if you've got a career technical education program, you may do things a little bit differently than you do if it's an academic program. Right? Sure. If you're doing it as a senior seminar, it's going to be different sometimes than how you use it up to that point. So, that flexibility is really key for everybody.
Right. So can you talk about what would be the power of a school specifically, since we're just in schools, right, of a school having both drug-free clubs and Bring Your A Game, even at the same time or in unison?
Yeah. Well, one of the big things in education and in workforce right now is this idea of stackable credentials, where you get not one thing, but there are things that build on each other as they go through. And the more you get, right, kind of the higher level you get, little gamification, right? You get 3 or level 2 or whatever. But the more stackable credentials you have, the more that go with each other, the more you can prove your skills, the more valuable you become. And so we really try and figure out ways that we can use our certification in tandem with others to help prove that you've got the skills necessary. Because like you said, it's so hard to tell by a piece of paper anymore, like what somebody really brings to the table. Yeah. So how do you differentiate yourself as a job candidate? How do you separate yourself from other people who are out there on paper? And these certifications are a perfect way to do it. And I think that really speaks to the value of the two together, is because you get this really kind of idea of here's how I am in the workplace, but this is my personal attitude too, right? This is what I bring. These are some of my values. This is who I am. And that, I think, says it better than anything else you can put on paper.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. So I know that you went through the process of switching from teaching it to train the trainer. Well, first with the book, to identifying it, to teaching it, to train the trainer type model. So what's next for you guys?
Well, in case you hadn't noticed, things have been a little weird over the last year and a half, right? They got a little different.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's been where you are, but for us, it got a little weird. And so we realized that not everyone was going to be doing in-person classes for a while. And so the next evolution, we created an entirely online, self-directed, asynchronous version of the training. While we think that it works best in small groups and person to person, we realize that's not always the way you're going to have to do it. So we created a version called Bring Your A Game Anywhere, which is, again, an online version that could be done on any device. So that's my favorite part. One of the challenges of this past year has been the digital divide, as they call it, right? That not everybody has equal access to technology and to broadband and, getting on Wi-Fi. And so what we wanted to do was try and level that playing field. So you don't have to be on a computer to use it. You could do it on a tablet or just on your phone. You just need some sort of Wi-Fi connection anywhere. You could be at your local, Taco Bell and be doing it in there. And because the modules are all short, they're all easy and interactive, it's fun, and people like it because it moves quickly. So it helps engage people in a way, even for an online training, and still leads to that certification. So in terms of what's next, that's really where we are, because you've got to meet people where they are. Right. And in today's era, that's changing. And the skills are still radically important, no matter if we're in a COVID world or post-COVID world or a new post-COVID post-world or whatever it is that we're in right now.
Yeah, I love that anywhere phrase. Maybe when we get to the point of making it meet everybody where they are, not just a school implementing, we'll be drug-free clubs anywhere instead of drug-free clubs everywhere.
Hey, you still got the A, so you don't have to change your acronym, right?
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much. It really has been fabulous catching up with you and hearing where you're going with stuff. I love the way that you guys have adapted. You've put your own skill set to use in the way that you're developing the A game and your company as a whole. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
It's really interesting to catch up.
It's always great to hear what you all are doing. And, we hear from employers all the time how important being drug-free is as a part of the skill set they need. So, the more we can work together, the more we can all harness our energy, we can help people be successful. We can help the students in your schools really achieve the success that they want. And so it's been a pleasure to work with you in the past. I look forward to hearing great stories about what you all do next. And for everybody out there, just remember, not only should you be drug-free, you should bring your A game every single day.
100% agreed. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Angie.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.